I built a Google Ads AI agent that builds search campaigns from scratch using Claude code. But the first output just wasn't good enough. It wasn't production ready. I couldn't actually use this on client work. I'm Zach and I run a paid media agency. We do Google and Meta ads for e-commerce brands. And in this series, I'm going to be walking you through our AI workflows and how we're building out AI into our processes so that we take the work that is repeatable and build it up into processes. So here's what the agent actually does. You give it a list of product URLs. It crawls your website. It then uses all of our rules and workflows within Claude code to build you out a full Google Ads campaign from scratch. It then exports everything in a Google Ads editor bulk upload format. So there's no API writes, so there's no client risk. There's no changes actually directly happening in your account. The version 1 workflow was good. It was technically sound, but the quality wasn't there. This is version 2, where we have really increased the quality and the output is now production ready. So the first thing we built for version 2 was a brand discovery agent. And what this does is it crawls the website and then uses some human input to build this file, a brand context. So I'll just walk you through how this happens. So the first step is to launch this brand discovery agent. So it first tries to crawl the sites here, and then it's looking for all these pieces of information. And if it can't find those pieces of information on the site, then it asks for input from you to put that into the file, and it stores that as cache, so it won't have to do it again. We see here, it didn't actually find for this site the About Us page, the delivery and the returns and the FAQ. So in this example, it's asked for human input. So you then have to go through the fields, enter your own input here, and then it builds this out. So it managed to get the brand description, the brand values, the USPs, but it didn't manage to get the delivery proposition and social proof, so we've had to implement those. This is really important if you're building out workflows like this, because otherwise the tools will only hallucinate if you don't give it the right information. The next step is brand voice, which is really important because you want the ads to sound like the brand and not sound like another brand. So you can load in here ad examples from existing ads. So you see here in that step here, these have been loaded in, and only then does it start crawling the pages and then generating the keywords. So it's really important to have that as a first step. The next piece for version 2 was actually making the tool have fixed headline slots. The trouble with version 1 is you might have social proof in headline 2, headline 3, and headline 4. You might have benefit in headline 1 and headline 2. You might have dynamic keyword insertion either in there or not. Within each headline has a fixed role, which means the agent is much less likely to hallucinate. And you can be clear that every single ad is serving the right purpose and has its social proof, its reasons to purchase, its delivery proposition, its dynamic keyword insertion, and you can be really clear that they're all in there. So for example, here we've got headline 5, we've got the mechanism. Headline 6, we've got a pain point. Headline 7, we've got a primary benefit, and you can see how that could be extended out depending on the niche in question. This one has specific rules for beauty, but of course, if you're working with a different niche, then you might not want a primary benefit or a pain point because that might not be appropriate. So the lesson here, if you're building your own agent, is don't let the model decide on a headline position itself. I would always be very strict on the role each headline has to play so that you've got really good consistency across all of the ads you're generating. The next change we made in version 2 is having a 3-angle strategy. So this is an approach which better caters for broad match within Google Ads, because if you're running broad match, your keywords could match for a much wider range of terms than they would if you're using exact or phrase, and you need to cater for people at different stages of the funnel. So they might be ready to buy now, or they might be just looking for solutions. So for example, this is matcha hair oils. So someone could be searching for troubles with hair thinning, or they could be product aware and aware that matcha oils help with hair thinning and directly searching for that. And if you've only got one ad in an ad group, then you're limiting how targeted you could be for that person. So the change we've made here is we've now got 3 ads within each ad group, one which is catered for top of funnel, one mid funnel, and one bottom of funnel. So you can just see some examples here. So we've got the bottom of funnel one says shop dose zero matcha oil and it's got the product in there. whereas the top of funnel one, boosting scalp circulation and thinning hair needs support and leaning into that pain point. So just some subtle differences in there, which do make a big difference and goes along with Google's recommendations of having 3 RSAs within an ad set. So if you're building out your own agent, then remember that one size fits all copy fits no one, and you're really leaving money on the table by not writing ads specifically for people at different stages of the funnel. The last change, and perhaps more a subtle one, is that in version 1, the descriptions often ended up repeating themselves from the headlines. So you might have a description which said thicker, fuller hair in 90 days, and then the description would go on to repeat that, which was wasteful because that's like prime ad real estate where you could get across that message slightly differently or say something different instead of repeating. So now when the tool runs, every description input has context of the headline, which is going to go alongside it. When those descriptions are written within the prompt, it's got a very clear brief to build on what the headline says, not merely repeat, but go deeper on the benefit. Lean harder into the problem, or it could be prove a claim through specific evidence. The brief is to give the searcher a specific reason to click that the headline hasn't already delivered on. So if you're building out your own agent, the advice here is to prompt in such a way that the descriptions are building on what the headlines have already said and not merely repeating, so that you're maximizing your use of that valuable ad real estate. So that's version 2 in a nutshell. We've got proper brand discovery with human-based input. We've got fixed headline slots and multiple ad angles per ad group, and then much better quality assurance so that the output is much more likely to be aligned with what we need in terms of character limits, in terms of repetition, in terms of creativity. So it's hit that standard I was aiming for, where it can now get us 80% of the way and do a lot of that research work and almost grunt work. And the final 20% is review, is sense checking, and it's judgment on that. If you found this useful, then please subscribe, because it really helps me build the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.